like I can see that right now.
It's 6:30. I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. And let's go ahead and rise for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Welcome everyone to our March 16th regular board meeting. We have an excused absence tonight from Director Bode. We also have Director Campbell on Zoom, and we should be able to see him up on the screen here once we get that figured out. And we're also having technical difficulties tonight with our microphones, so I encourage everyone speaking to project.
Got it.
Yep. Just one of those days.
Okay.
I
In the air.
will entertain a motion to approve or amend our meeting agenda.
I move that we approve the agenda as written.
Okay, any discussion on the agenda? No? Okay. Okay, I'm gonna take the student advisory vote at this moment. Do you approve?
I approve.
Okay. And our board vote, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so moved. Motion passes. All right, do we have any public comments tonight, Jackie? None? Okay.
Would it be okay to do a public comment?
Yeah, we just ask that you sign in and,
That's first time, so.
yeah, no problem. And then you just need to say your full name and where you live, your town. But go ahead, the floor is yours.
Thank you.
Is it on a specific agenda item, or would you like to speak now?
Not really on a specific agenda item. It could be now or however.
Okay.
Is it okay? Do you want me to sign in or just speak? And
As long as you sign in before you write your name.
okay, thank you. My name's Dale Mills. I live in Greatview, and I'm the host father of a foreign exchange student. And it's come to my attention that they are not allowed to participate in the graduation ceremony here at North Mason. And I wonder why that is. And a couple of thoughts on why I wonder about that is they come here to participate and experience a senior high school experience here. And that's basically the culmination of a whole year. And then to have their last moments here to be one of exclusion and not allowed to participate.
That's not, if I may,
Yeah,
that's
go
not
ahead, yes,
exactly accurate.
Okay.
In order to participate in a graduation fully, the student would have to meet the Washington State graduation standards. We have had our exchange students be able to walk at graduation in the past, and that is something they need to work with the principal and the counselors on that. And then let me know if there's.
Okay. I do understand that there's, in talking to our placement person with the Aspect Foundation, they say out of the 12 places where they place students, North Mason, Kirkland, and Bainbridge are the only 3 that don't allow them to participate.
We do allow them to walk. They don't get a diploma.
Well, no, I don't expect them to get a diploma, but I was told they weren't allowed to walk. Is
No,
that-
we have allowed them to walk in the past.
Okay, then that's it then.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. All right, any other public comments? Okay. Student and board member comments.
I'll go first. So I was just going to mention that I believe last week or week before, it's been finals week, so I'm a little bit all over the place, but we had the SEDC conference for DECA, and we had, I can name the names, I don't have the number right now, but a few students who qualified for ICDC, which is on our agenda coming up, but I just wanted to give a little congratulations. If I can remember the names, it's Anthony Blackwell, Jordan Berry, and then Talia Vaughn, Hunter Abad, Bryson Schiarini, and then me. and then also Avery PD. So those are all the people that qualified for ICDC. So that'll be pretty cool. And then also Paige Kelly, and she qualified in 2 events, which is really cool. So congratulations to her. But I don't know, I wanted to give a shout out to those students and then also everybody who competed, because it was we got like a shout out for having the highest level of participation in our conference to be at SCDC, which is like the state conference. So that was also kind of a cool thing for our DECA chapter. So
All right.
yeah.
That's exciting. And so it's in Florida, right?
Yes, Orlando, Florida.
That's exciting.
Very cool.
That'll be fun. Couple things going on at the high school. So we have prom coming up next month. That will be let me pull up my calendar here. Sorry, 2 months. That will be the 13th of May at the Admiral Theater. And then we are going to, on April 20th and 21st, we are going to have our mock crash taking place next month. So we're preparing a press release to be sent out about that to let the community know that all the Washington State Patrol cars and helicopters are perfectly fine. Nothing bad's happening.
You said what date was that?
That will take place the 20th and the 21st of April.
Oh, okay.
Is the 20th today when the students disappear? And the 21st
The 20th is the day of the crash, yes.
Okay.
And then we'll do the rest of it. They'll come back the 21st. But they'll still be, Washington State Patrol will be here and a couple other things too that second day also.
Oh, okay.
So it's going to be a full-on 2-day event. So
What
that's
time's it start?
it starts as soon as school starts.
It's all
Oh,
day,
okay.
John.
Yeah, all day.
All day, 2 days.
Essentially, yes.
For some kids.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
some of the kids like me.
When is the car crash, when will it be set up? Right at the
So,
beginning of school?
It'll be set up. We're going to have to time it for right after school starts, soon as everyone's clear from the lower lockdown here. We're going to rush in with the cars, stage it, get it all set up, get it covered, hopefully by 10. And then, but we're going to have kids getting ready, getting into makeup probably as early as 7.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah,
10 a.m.
talking with the fire department, one thing that we're doing that is more authentic than in some years in the past is in our state, or not, with the fire department and state patrol, there are families who have had children who have been in accidents who allow the car, as it was found at the end of that, this is gonna make me tear up, be used at a school so that kids really can see what that aftermath is like. And that sounds like that's what our experience is gonna be this year, so it's very intense.
Yeah.
But I think really important for people too. So that's why we also are doing a really good job with the press releases. So no kids or families, are hit with something totally out of the blue, because it's intense enough when you know what is coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're
What would be
pulling
a good time to arrive?
Huh?
When should I arrive?
We'll talk about that, John.
Okay.
Okay,
But
we'll talk about that between now and then.
All right.
we will have counselors, every counselor here at the upper campus, ready to help any kids who may require some counseling, along with the elementary counselors on speed dial, just in case there's a lot of kids that need help.
And probably, John, for you to experience part of the event, the best thing would be to come at the culminating event on the second day. where
Yeah.
they Bring
Okay.
everybody together.
All right, I wait. We can fix a time sometime else. That'll be fine.
Okay.
And then, so I see are we covering the legislative conference?
I think you should definitely cover what you want
Do you want me to cover my part now or wait?
No, go ahead, and I think now is a good time.
Abbreviate. So we got, as students, we got to do a couple things where we got to meet with Superintendent of Public Instruction, Chris Reichdahl. We later found out that King 5 News was there. So that was interesting. I ended up on that.
Nice.
All right.
So, and then a few of my colleagues were actually interviewed, which I'm a little jealous of. But, and then on top of that, we got to meet with the governor to discuss fully funding transportation and special education.
Nice.
It was a rough
Here, here.
meeting. Not much was accomplished. And
Shocking.
I don't think much action will come of it. But yesterday, I was in front of the House Appropriations Committee testifying on one of the bills. And Representative Couture is on our case.
Yeah.
I talked to OSPI and they are thrilled about what we've done to get him some amendments and stuff, and they're thrilled about it, along with the folks over at WASDA.
Yes.
So overall, got a lot done, missed a few things, but I think overall we were able to get some good work done.
Morgan was a keynote, not keynote, but you were one of the speakers and presenters at the conference.
Yes,
It
I
was
did.
really
I did
great to
speak at the
see.
conference for fully funding transportation,
All right.
Great.
and that's all I
I was gonna
have.
pound on the thing.
I know. Good job. Okay. All right, we're at the consent items for the consent agenda. Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Madam Chairman, I move we approve the consent agenda.
Okay. Any discussion? There's a lot of cool stuff in here, like the Apogee I'm really excited about. The field trip, the DECA field trip is awesome. I asked a question of Deanna earlier this week about how did, this $8,000 that it's going to cost. And she said that you guys just fundraise the heck in yourself, doing that, which I just think is amazing. So I don't have any things to discuss. Any discussion from the group? Okay. All right. All in favor. We'll start with our student advisors for the student advisory vote.
I say aye.
I say aye.
And then our full board. All in favor say aye.
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 Okay. The consent agenda passes. Great. We are now at our CTE board presentation.
And our presentation from Director and Principal Hadfield and our student presenting with these.
Yes, before I begin to talk, I would like to invite our students to come up and share their experiences on two of our newest programs. Our culinary program, which falls under the Pathway of Hospitality and Tourism, and our Core Plus Maritime program, which falls under manufacturing. So at this time, I would invite Alex to come up first to talk about maritime.
Hello, my name is Alex Landers. I'm representing the Core Plus Maritime program, and the experience that it's been an incredible experience. With it being a year-long program, I've been able to experience how boats are manufactured and how the entire process and the names of parts, and it'll help me with future career as boat building.
Nice.
And it'll definitely give me a head start with doing that and going into West Sound for welding, so that'll
cool.
definitely help me. So, thank you.
Wow.
Very good.
Very cool.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Terrell Van Orsby. I'm one of the representatives, or there were supposed to be two of us, but it's just me. He couldn't make it to this. I'd like to talk on the accomplishment of the CTE program for culinary, how it's unified a lot of students, how it's provided for a lot of us creativity and an outlet for a lot of us. It's created a lot of opportunities to really let students get to know a lot of the staff, and I think it's a program that could be worked on even further, and it could even branch out and unite a lot of the community. My hope for it is in the future that we can plan events and have the students come and cook and, you know, make food that really just kind of unites people in our communities. You know, let branching things happen, competitions. But either way, to end this, I'd like to say that I'd like to actually thank you guys for letting me have this opportunity to cook such good food for my teachers and my peers and all my friends. So thank you, and that's all I have to say.
What's been your favorite thing that you've cooked?
It's actually what I cooked for this
Chutney
hatch.
sauce.
It was a mango chutney, fish horseradish
Ooh.
sauce. I marinated.
Handsome.
I used it as a marinade for my pork. I seared it, cooked it well. I served it with bell peppers and onions, and we finished off with a kind of a mango chocolate covered tar.
Oh my god. So this
That was
group
very good.
can always make dinner for the board at some point. That's awesome.
Well, and actually, we have asked the group to, the scholarship committee will be meeting early in May to consider the applications of our seniors. And we have asked the culinary students to make dinner for that night while the committee is
Oh,
meeting to
yeah.
go over all of the materials.
Oh, cool.
Oh,
And
that's
we've
awesome.
asked them to make desserts for the United Way
Oh, dessert auction.
auction. And our North Mason students are going to have their own featured table for the auction, dessert auction.
Oh,
for the
nice.
United Way auction this year, so we're really
That's
looking forward
fun.
to
It's
what
like
we come up
May
with.
12th,
Thank you very
right?
much, Miss.
That's really
That's
cool.
exciting.
great.
Thank you for sharing.
Very much. All right, you guys have a nice day.
Very, very cool.
Thank you.
I want to thank Alex and Terrell for being here and giving up their time today.
Thank you.
It's not easy to speak in front of people, so I really appreciate you guys being here. I'm really excited to wait these next 5 weeks, Alex, to see if he gets into the welding program at West Sound Tech. It's very competitive with his plans to move on to Safe Boats,
Cool.
which, by the way, is the only boating manufacturing company that is entirely owned by its employees. And they're one of our great industry partners. So it's a great opportunity for Alex and for all this other students to learn new careers and find a passion and put that towards career, and that's what CTE is all about. So we work really hard on preparing our students for a global market through mastering and learning both academic and industry standards and pairing that together for jobs of the future that we don't even know exist yet. And it's super important because of our graduation rates. 94% of students who are considered CTE completers graduate high school in a 4-year span of time. So to be a CTE completer, our students earn 2 credits of career and tech ed in a connected pathway that is sequential. And in doing so, they either earn tech prep credit, so it's articulated with Olympic College or one of our surrounding community or 4-year colleges, or they are earning what we call an IRC, or an industry recognized credential. So Terrell has his Flume Handler's card, Alex has boater safety, and will, at the end of the course, will earn his Core Plus Maritime Foundational Certificate. So they can take it directly to employers and be ready to go. 77% of employers are hiring students based on their knowledge, not just on their diplomas or degrees gained. It is their skills and experiences that they bring to the table and what companies are looking for. I've attached a couple pictures, and I think my favorite one is the picture of our maritime class, because throughout this process you saw a group of students working on their boats, and now they have become a community working on a boat.
Nice.
And
All
it's really
right.
kind of changed the culture of that classroom and how things operate. So the more classes we can bring in like this, we really have the power to change the culture and bring so many different groups of students together to accomplish a product and a goal, and it's been really, really cool to see. Same thing in our culinary programs. Terrell talked about the community that's formed in that classroom. CTE does a really great job of doing that and bringing different groups of people together to learn those skills and work together. It's a highly needed program. All of our areas of CTE, there is a shortage of 6.5 million skilled workers in the United States. There are jobs waiting, there are scholarships out there, and they're waiting for North Mason kids to be applying and heading to work. So here you can see some of our boat building kids. They're working on one of our boats right now. I believe that's the boat that's painted up top, right, Alex? Next to them are some of our middle school kids. So they're doing brain dissection and brain mapping of a sheep brain, and that helps them learn the different lobes of the brain.
Wow.
And then what they're used for and how they make us work. So the goal of our CTE is we want to meet preparation with opportunity, and that generates the offspring of what we call luck. And that's a quote from Anthony Williams, and that's very appropriate for career and technical education, because the kids are learning and they're putting in the work to create some really great products. Currently, we offer pathways in hospitality and tourism, where our culinary program falls under, business and marketing, health science, visual arts, and manufacturing. We are currently working on developing a new program under health science so we can funnel into 2 different areas. The first area to funnel in would be therapeutic services. So that's doctors, physical therapists, nurses, athletic medicine. And we're also exploring the idea of adding the biotechnology pathway, and that's our medical lab technicians. And currently there's a projected growth of about 30% in the health science career field by the year of 2031. So not only are we going to give our kids skills and be ready to work, but we're also going to be sending kids to work right in our own community. So it kind of works twofold. Our maritime class, if you haven't noted, you don't know, Safe Boats just opened a new facility in Tacoma to build even bigger boats. So half of their employees have left our Safe Boats area here and are headed to Tacoma, so they're also hiring. And they will be looking for some of our students to head into welding and start working on those boats. My big goal as the CTE director is to expand on these programs and to really bring in community partnerships so we can both better serve not only our students but our community here in North Mason as well. And one of the battles I fight with legislation is CTE is not funded in alternative education. We can't really do that right now. We do offer it, and we're looking for creative ways all the time to offer more programs for our alternative ed students. But that's a goal I have in our future, is to hopefully one day get that funded through legislation, but until then find creative ways to make it work for our kids at James Taylor and Home Lake. Are there any questions I can answer for you?
Good. Geez, the community ought to know lots of stuff about this. This is a real plus for the schools.
I agree.
It is. ALE stands for
Alternative Learning Environment.
Yeah. I think this is amazing. Is this part of this? Or is it?
Yes. So the packet that you have ahead of you would really benefit our health science pathways. It is called an entomology table, and they do come with a very expensive price tag. However, artificial intelligence is not going away anytime soon. So it provides an opportunity, one, for our students to learn how AI works and to use it in a safe and responsible way. This is also how doctors are training in medical school. It's how medical professionals are training before a big surgery. They are practicing on these tables. So by having an entomology table, hopefully at the high school and the middle school, is our kids will have those industry skills prior to their further education or entry into the workplace. It also will serve as an opportunity to really incorporate UDL in the classroom. So that allows kids to learn in multiple different ways where they are. So for our students that don't want to touch things for dissection, they can work with AI. For our students that benefit from visual representation, they're getting accurate visual representation and not a hand-drawn picture in a book. Nothing can replace really seeing the anatomy in 3D. And this anatomage table allows us to do that. And it doesn't just work for the human body, it would also work for our agriculture program with vet science as well.
That's really cool. So is there any other schools locally that have that?
Shelton has one, Central Kitsap has one, South Kitsap does, and so does North.
Oh, so we're just like late to the game. We need it now.
I have seen this
Well-
in person and have played
Yeah.
with this at Shelton High. It is amazing. It's the type of thing where you're like, okay, I wish I had become a surgeon. Like,
Yeah.
it's just so cool.
I think Jackie's gonna pull up
I
some
w-
Yeah.
videos.
And
Yeah.
not just surgeon, there's so
Okay,
much
good.
more than
Right.
doctor, lawyer, like surgical tech.
Yeah.
They need to know those tools and know the anatomy and the vocabulary that goes along with using these tables too. So it gives our kids a leg up.
It looks like we're going
And
to get
so
a
many
video.
more opportunities than like when I was in school and you got to do the frog or whatever that you dissected, or in medical school with a cadaver and having to have those. This can change all the time because
Well,
it's AI and it
yeah.
can give you that experience.
And what I
without
saw-
having to smell the formaldehyde.
Right. Well, and what I saw at Shelton High was because you're able to upload real people.
Mhm.
So, and then I was able to overlay, like, on the woman, a baby to see, like, pregnancy through, and then, like, you can remove that if you don't want to see that, or study that, or whatever. It's, yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, and the current ad homage table number 9, there's a classic one, which you would do for the middle school that lays flat. At the high school level, they have one that lays flat and can be vertical.
Wow.
So it could be a great teaching aid as well.
And this is an agenda item for you as an action item. We do have funds in our CTE budgets for this year to be able to ask you about spending this.
That's what I was going to ask is if,
Yeah.
like, it sounds
I
great.
wouldn't come if I didn't
Can
think
we
the funds were
afford
there.
it? Okay. Thank you,
Thank you.
Alexia. I think that means that we're at do we want to look at the website more, or do you guys feel like we're ready to take action?
So, are we voting on?
Yeah, there's
Approving the
approving that?
expense.
Mhm.
So, with this, so that is strictly coming out of funds that were designated for CTE, not for, any of the other stuff that we need?
No, this is out of CTE funds
Okay.
that
And,
we would
an
have to
ESSER
pay
grant
back
for
if we don't
CTE.
spend.
Okay.
And, yeah.
what would we have used the money on it before? Was it
Well, the-
was it allocated to
The
anything?
weird thing about CTE is if you don't spend all your money, they take it back.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it-
So there is quite a bit of projected recovery in both programs, and I would hate to see that go away.
Yeah.
I
for
would
sure.
rather put it to use in classes, and the class that this would go to right now, before we add in some more health science classes, every single one of our 10th graders takes that class.
And so some years we budgeted right down to the cent and we're worried we're not gonna have enough CTE funding to make it to the end of the year. But in other years where we change or add additional classes to the
Mhm.
system, or enrollment is higher, then we end up in a situation where the CTE enhancement that we get is greater than what we projected. And it's a place where we don't have this, we have tighter rules about how much we can keep if we have carryover. And so it's important to look at how can we improve our programs when we have that potential carryover or payback, so that we don't have to pay anything back and we can continue to use those dollars to improve our students' experience.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I would entertain a motion to approve the purchase of these 2 tables. Do I hear a motion actually first?
I move that we approve the purchase of whatever they need.
2 Anatomage tables.
Yes.
All right, any discussion? What do you guys think? You're at the high school.
I think that'd be awesome. You mentioned the class that the 10th graders take, that's human body systems, I believe. Yeah, I was just flipping through this and I was like, it would have been so helpful.
It's so cool, right?
Yeah, and also a lot more like interesting to like, yeah,
Than a
let's
book,
be real,
yeah.
like to stay interested in class and to want to learn. I think that would be a big step in keeping students engaged.
Absolutely.
And also just be really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see this in the agenda originally when I talked to the students, but I have a feeling they will be completely behind this. This is super cool. I wish I had it back when I was a 10th grader, but it's super cool. I'm looking forward to seeing it in action.
Yeah, we see commercials, you know, just coming up between movies when we're watching, and it's always this AI, and they show these tables and these other things, and that's how they're doing all of the work now, you know, or in the colleges and stuff that they're pushing forward. So it's coming, and we'll be ready.
If we order this, what's the timeline that we would get it?
I would wait to order until June, because I don't want them sitting during the summer months. So I will work with the company. It does take a couple months, so the projected timeline would hopefully get here right at the end of August, beginning of September.
Okay, that's great.
That's really cool.
What we're looking at in the quote, is that for one or for two?
The quote is one. The request to spend funds is for 2 of the vertical tables. So it actually come out to a little bit less than, I wasn't able to get the standard table quote in time.
Okay, gotcha.
Do we know what the number is, though?
It won't be by much.
Okay. All right.
And that will, you know, once we actually have it will be on the consent agenda again anyway. But,
yes.
You know, once we have it in the expenditures for that month. But because this is above what I normally approve without you, that's why you're approving it now.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, there's a motion on the table. We've had discussion. All in favor, say aye. We'll start with our students.
Aye.
And
Aye.
our board, aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
That's awesome. I'm excited for that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Great, we are at our board development and linkage with our superintendent update and the budget.
Thank you, guys.
Yes, thank you
Thank
for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me.
Well, happy March, everyone. I'm Dan King, the Director of Business and Finance here in North Mason School District. For those people out in our virtual audience that might not know me, I'm going to present to you our budget status report that takes into consideration our revenues and expenditures through the month of February. I will touch on enrollment, that is our March enrollment. Beginning with our other funds, our fund balances for our capital projects fund at the end of February was $343,019. You'll notice there's a significant difference between January and February, a decrease of $113,693. And that's due to a project that we had over midwinter break. We had a major repair of our well system, our water system and our wells up here on the upper campus. Our debt service fund balance at the end of February was $626,646, and that is an increase of $104,399. And that is due to local property taxes of $71,168 and a timber excise tax of $30,694. So we collected that additional $104,000 from taxes. Our ASB fund balance at the end of February was $482,879, an increase of $5,013. And our transportation vehicle fund balance was $512,607, which is an increase of $1,848. So let's look at our enrollment. So our budgeted enrollment for the year was 2,260.4 students. Our March enrollment showed that we were at 2,268, so 8 students above our budgeted. When you look over on the right side of this chart, you can see our average for the year so far to date, 2,243.8. So we're slowly climbing up to our budgeted, our average is slowly climbing up to our budgeted enrollment. And the reason why it's lower, again, I've mentioned before, is because in the month of September, we weren't counting our Running Start students. So let's go on to our general fund. We'll begin with revenues. So on the top left, you can see our total revenues actual year-to-date compared to our projected year-to-date revenues. So our actual revenues were at 46.86% of our annual revenue budget, and our projected was that we would be at 46.86%. So we're right on the money there. From local sources, our actual year-to-date revenues at the end of February were at 43.66%, and we projected that we would be at 43.68%. So pretty close there also with what we projected. Our state sources, our actual year-to-date at the end of February were 49.51%, and we had projected our year-to-date state sources would be 48.7%, so pretty close. And then our federal actual year-to-date at the end of February, we're at 34.96% compared to our projected of 39.77. So we're slowly aligning with what we projected as we continue to do more federal grant claims of our expenditures and collect those revenues and getting caught up with that.
I think it's important to note that OSPI made a transition this year in how we claim some of our federal grants. Next year it will include all of our federal grants, and the year after that all of our state grants. So we're using two different systems. The old system, which is called iGrants for most things still, and EGMS, the new system for the federal grants. And we were not even able to start collecting on that till about 3 months after the normal time we would be able to start collecting on the federal grants because of how that system got started. So we will get caught up, but that's why we are behind in collecting those federal funds right now.
I see.
And Dan and my other leads on budget in their different areas have worked really hard on that EGMS system. Unfortunately, it's a transition that the state made to a different system that I'm sure has really positive, but it is not as intuitive even as the old system. So it was a lot of learning for everybody involved, including at the state level. So.
Wow.
I'm almost able to enter our claims without using the tutorial that I created.
So like one screen open and follow along.
Yesterday I entered claims in. I only had to look at it for 1 or 2 steps, and there's like 15 steps. So, so it's starting to become more fluid and more efficient, and I think eventually it's going to be a very useful tool. It's an online reporting system where we report our expenditures, and then we're given a reimbursement for those expenditures as they're reported.
Very cool.
Okay, so on this slide as well, we have our top 10 sources of revenue. Apportionment, of course, is our biggest source of revenue in our general fund. And at the end of February, to date, we had collected $10,842,148. I'm not going to hit on all these, and I think this time I'd like to focus on some of the smaller sources. At the bottom, halfway down, state forest. So to date, we had collected $176,911 in state forest funds, state forest revenues. Sales of goods, supplies, and services, $53,722. Investment earnings, and I'm actually kind of proud. It's not a ton of revenue, but every little bit helps, and I'm kind of proud of this because every month we make sure that we are investing our funds to maximize any kind of investment earnings that we can get, rather than just letting it sit there and not doing any work for us. And I feel that's a sign of good stewardship of our money and being strategic. So to date, in our general fund, and we're doing this in all of our funds, but general, to date, $44,061 by the end of February. So non-high participation, $40,000. That's revenues we receive from other districts who have students who do not have a high school in their district and they come to North Mason. Impact aid, $27,207, and federal forest, $23,675. So let's go on to our expenditures. Actually, no, before expenditures, I have some more on revenues, I'm sorry. So this slide here shows our total revenues budgeted compared to projected year-to-date. It just gives the visual, and you can see with the orange bar and the purple bar, they're really close. And actually they're identical, because if you remember before, I showed they were at the same percentage actual and projected, which was 46.86%. So that actually is $18,786,416 in revenue to date as of the end of February. So let's go to the next slide, and this one shows our revenues by source, projected year-to-date versus current. You can see that our state sources are our largest source of revenues. You can see our projected versus our current. And we're pretty close. Our local, that's our local levies, we're spot on. State, we've collected a little more than we anticipated or projected to date, and our federal just a little less. But it all equals out to where our actual and projected are the same. Revenues by source, prior year to date versus current. And here you can see a trend across the years, starting with the yellow, going up towards the purple. And you can see that increase in state revenues over the years. You can see our federal, even though we are below what we had projected, we're still, at this point in time, have collected more federal revenues than we had in the previous years. So let's go ahead and go on to the expenditures. So again, this is within our general fund through February 28th of 2023. The top left green diagram shows our projected year-end balance as a percentage of our budgeted expenditures. And so our projected year-end balance is at 11.81% of our budgeted expenditures. That's up from 11.47% last month. So we're in a good spot there with that. Keep in mind the operative word projected. As you know, our apportionment percentages vary as we go through the school year, and different kinds of things occur through the school year, which is also our fiscal year. Our total expenditures actual year to date, 47.21% compared to our projected at 53.09. Our salaries and benefits actual year to date, 48.79% compared to our projected year to date of 49.37. Salaries are and benefits are a little easier to pinpoint than some of our, like MSOCs, material supplies, operations kinds of things that it's not as easy to pinpoint and project. So basic ed, 45.61% year to date compared to our projected 52.78. Our top 10 expenditures, our biggest one in general fund is basic education at $8,662,332. District-wide support is another one, $2,908,000. Special education, $2,175,000, and transportation, $1,163,000. And you can see some of the other ones there as well. Those top 10 expenditures make up 93.24% of our total expenditures. So there's a lot of smaller ones too that aren't listed there. Going to the next slide, please. This is our total expenditures budgeted versus projected. We're not as spot on with revenues, but there's a lot of things that still are occurring as we continue through the fiscal year that will predictably even this out. But currently our projected, we're a little higher, around 20, it looks like around 23 based on where we are on that graph. And currently our expenditures are at $19,496,745. When I say currently, I mean as of the end of February. Let's go on to the next slide, please. This is expenditures by object, our projected year-to-date versus current. So you can see, kind of see where, those different buckets, where those expenditures are occurring. Salaries, of course, on the left are a large percentage of our per certificated staff, and if you add the classified as well to that, a large percentage of our expenditures. Employee benefits are lumped together, classified and certificated together here. Supplies and services are also shown here. So you can compare our projected versus current. And then let's go ahead and go on to the next slide, please. Expenditures by object, prior year to date versus current. So it just breaks it down and gives a different lens over a trend of 4 years. The 3 prior years are full fiscal years, but this is to date. So at the end of February on the prior year in red, you can see the difference between this year in purple and prior year in red, and see that our salaries are increased over last year. You can see our benefits too have increased over last year. Supplies a little bit more year to date than last year. Purchase services about the same. So these visuals just kind of give us that kind of that kind of big picture to kind of compare that way without really specific dollars and cents. And then let's go ahead and go on to the next slide, please. So this is our month-end balances, and it shows the trend across the year. The actual from August through February, and then projected going forward from March through August, to the next August. And the solid purple line is the current year, and straight up above February, you can see where that is. It's at $2,945,163. So at the end of February, that was our fund balance. Our projected fund balance at the end of this fiscal year is $4,877,233. So you can see how the trend flows and kind of ebbs and flows across the year. But that shows where we are right now and where our projected will be based on current information. And then let's go on to the final slide, which is a summary and focusing on the right-hand side in particular. Our current year-to-date revenue, $18,786,416, compared to our annual budget of $40 million. So a little less than, we're halfway, this is through February, so about halfway through the fiscal year. And you can see we've spent about half of our budgeted revenues. We've received about half of our budgeted revenues. And then with expenditures, at the end of February, they were at $19,496,000 plus. And you can see again, that's about half of our budgeted expenditures. So about right where we should be, what you would expect for being halfway through the year. And then again, at the very bottom of this table on the right, you can see our fund balance at the end of February was $2,945,163. Do you have any questions?
Do not. It was very thorough.
I don't.
No, I'll just make the comment that it's really nice to see all of the projections and the actual starting to line up. That's great to see.
Here,
It is.
Thank you.
I think it's great to see too, especially being new at this. I want to end with this slide right here. Every year a tradition is to have our high school seniors do a grad walk. If they attended Belfair Elementary, they come down to Belfair Elementary. If they attended Sand Hill Elementary, they go to Sand Hill. If they weren't at either elementary, I think they get to pick which one they want to go with, wherever their friends are going, I guess. But it's really great. They walk and do a tour through the school, through all the classrooms, through the cafeteria, through the library. And this picture, I think, is really pretty neat. The grads are walking through one of our kindergarten classes. So here we have kindergartners just beginning their K-12 experience, and seniors just a few days or the day before walking on stage getting their diplomas. And it's just, I think it really speaks to what we're all about here in North Mason. It's all about our students. And when I think of our the budget, what I just went over, that's really what it's all about. It's not just numbers. It's not just these buckets like salaries and benefits and all that. It's all for what we're seeing on this slide. Mm-hmm. To give our students really a quality education, to give them that experience. And when they walk through as soon-to-be graduates, there are a lot of staff members that had them in their classrooms.
Yeah.
Office staff too, custodians, bus drivers, everyone in our whole school district, food service employees that were dishing out, the corn and the burritos and all of the things that they were, getting through the food service line. They all were part of that, developing these students and supporting them along the way. And I'll tell you, there are so many tears. And when kids walk through, there's so many, oh my goodness, you've grown so much. And I just saw Alex, who spoke tonight, he went through Belfair Elementary, and it's just amazing to see how much he's grown. And he would never have spoken in front of a crowd before. So I'm not just talking their physical growth, but their emotional growth, having that courage and confidence, their academic growth, all of it. And that is something that I just always want to make sure that we're reminded of. And when I share the budget status report, that really is a lot of numbers on here, but there's a lot behind these numbers. It has real meaning and purpose. And that's our aim, that we're trying to make sure that we give our students a quality education, a great experience where they feel this is their home, where they feel safe, where they have memories, where they go back and visit and the teachers remember them and are proud of them, and that they're so proud to come back and contribute to. I know a lot of them come back and work in our district and in our community. So I just wanted to end with that.
That's really
Thank
cool.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Amazing. Thank you.
So,
These budgets just get clearer and clearer, I want to say.
well, good. That's the point. So we included a link for those that want to dig a little deeper on the agenda to the OSPI page on the balanced calendar process. And what that is our district took advantage of the opportunity to get a grant to do some looking into the idea. Balanced calendar is not year-round school. Balanced calendar is looking at if we have 180 days that we're required to provide education for kids, what is the best configuration of those 180 days to best meet kids' needs? And there are multiple districts around the state who are participating in this grant. Some of them have moved a lot quicker to make some decisions or some changes. We're not sure yet. The committee's not sure yet what kind of recommendation they're going to be to the board, bring to the board, whether it's going to be to make changes or not. But they're doing a very thorough job. We had some of the committee members visit some schools earlier in the year that are a little bit further ahead of us. We have some more staff who will be visiting some schools in Eastern Washington that are a little bit ahead of us after spring break. And we have done, Laura Pugh, who's running the committee, is doing an amazing job with doing online meetings so that people can participate at the end of their day or whatever. Morgan is is the most usual student who is available and representing students on that meeting. And the most recently, Laura set up a series of opportunities for focus groups at the middle school and high school with kids that she selected very purposely to talk to, kids who aren't necessarily the ones that always get to talk to, kids who get to give their opinion, kids who are sometimes who have some challenges with coming to school, sometimes who don't, but to get a really good cross-section beyond the kids that we do hear from more frequently. And those were very interesting. I sat in on those focus groups with Laura, and we heard very interesting ideas, some different from things that the committee has already come up with. We have also done a survey with community to start getting some input. After we do a little bit more of this stuff, we have recently sent out surveys again to families, community, and staff to get thoughts. They will bring all of that information together. The committee's going to look at it some more, decide if maybe they want to do a in-person meeting to gather some more details, and then bring some recommendations to the board. But they want to be very thorough. I think we members of the committee have learned a lot through the various guest speakers that we've had from other districts, through their research and reading and conversation, and through their visits to find out some things that are going on. One of the highlights that I think some of our committee members are excited about, in some districts where they have done a little bit of tweaking, they take the time like we currently have with our midwinter break and offer something called intercession. So intercession is not required time to come to school, but it's an additional opportunity. Staff have to volunteer to work it. Students volunteer to come to it. But during that intercession time, students at the high school level have the opportunity to maybe make up some credits that they're deficient, or to explore something that doesn't fit into their schedule, because you only have so many periods in the day and don't necessarily get to try out all the things you might want to try out in a high school or middle school schedule. And students in the elementary schools get to have some really targeted work on areas that they need support. So those districts who are doing that are speaking very highly of that. That's something our committee is very interested in hearing a little bit more about. So when they go visit next month, that's specifically they're going to visit during intercession to see what that looks like and how that works, and bring that information back. So that's where we are. There have been no decisions made. The board makes the decisions, but the committee, I think, has learned a lot and changed some of their opinions from the beginning, a year and a half ago, to now. And it's been very interesting to listen and try to really be a fly on the wall and just listen and watch as people develop their opinions, and really are able to do that in a way so that what they're bringing to the board is from those people who have participated and represented our stakeholders throughout the community. And it's very, very interesting, and you will be very interested by all of the detail of what they eventually present to you. And I know Morgan agrees, because I can see.
Yeah, there's a lot of information to go through, but it's definitely quite the improvement. Everyone's came in with some open-minded, some very hard, very determined.
One way or the other.
One way or the other, and overall we've seen everyone kind of soften up to this idea. There's still a few people with some minor concerns, but now that we've seen how it works in some other schools, now that we know it's not going to be a huge change, it's really changed the perception of people a lot. So,
can I ask how many people are in the committee roughly? And then, I know I've asked that before, but I forget. And then what kind of is the timeline you're thinking, like another 6 months?
Oh,
or?
I think we're thinking you would have maybe a report towards the end of the school year. There are a number of people who are on the roll of the committee. The numbers who participate in meetings varies pretty much based on what else is going on in their family lives at the time. And
it's about 5 to 10
that are regular.
Regularly,
okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, and then I think we met with 10 to 12 students from every grade, 2 groups in 8th grade, but every other grade level between 6 and 12, 10 to 12 students during those focus groups. So that were additional to other conversations that we've had, like in our luncheons with board members and stuff.
I'm excited.
It's going to be very interesting to hear what the committee comes out and says. I really couldn't predict it right now. And then when we did the focus groups, the students had some ideas that we hadn't talked about at all that are going to have to be part of that conversation too. So it will be quite the conversation when it finally gets to you guys. Also, this is School Retirees Month, and next week is the official week for recognizing school retirees. And in North Mason, we benefit so much from those folks who work in our schools during their careers and come back and volunteer and continue to work in our schools. So we always want to make sure that we recognize that. We do have a proclamation from the governor recognizing that next week, the week of March 20th, is School Retirees Week. That is in the board packet. I won't read the whole thing, but he does state that whereas retired educators are encouraged to remain active in the education profession through volunteer activities associated with learning, and many we see in various substitute roles in our district as well. I, Jay Inslee, Governor of the State of Washington, proclaim March 20th through 26th, 2023 as School Retirees Appreciation Week, and I know that that will be a focus of some of our media things that Amanda puts out over the next week as we celebrate those folks who have done so much for our kids and continue to do so as they do other things in life too.
That's cool.
Great.
And finally, this is not on the agenda, but I did have some interesting information to share. As you know, we participated in a statewide and nationwide, in fact, class action lawsuit against the parent company of the Juul vaping product.
Oh, yeah.
And we have received notice that a settlement, a tentative settlement has been made with that company in its multi-billions of dollars shared among all the districts participating. And I did sign on behalf of the board this week a letter saying that yes, we'll take the money if we get some. And we will get the final amount probably by sometime in the early fall. But our portion of that settlement will be in the around $50,000 range. And so our goal in participating and in having that would be to have some funds to do some additional help with us with the detection and fighting the huge impact that vaping has on our secondary schools right now. So right now we will probably use those dollars to help. There are some new, more that will fit with our building design at the middle and high school, vaping alarms and detectors that we can put in places like bathrooms and locker rooms where things are tending to occur. That will probably be the focus of the expenditure of those dollars when we get them. So I'm really excited that we're going to get something.
Yeah.
And that the point has been made that the marketing that company did, targeted at children, flavoring things that taste like candy, so it makes it really attractive to children to develop a really lifelong addiction that's much worse than some of the other addictions, even to cigarettes, was wrong and has been recognized with this settlement in court. So I'm really pleased on behalf of kids around the country, and also that we're going to have some money to help us help kids. So
Yeah, very much so.
Good.
Do we have any sense of, like, do we have any data on our end of, kids that have been written up for bringing their vape
yes,
pens?
we do
I'm just
have that.
curious.
We haven't done a report specifically for that issue, but we could.
Yeah, I would definitely be curious to know that.
Okay.
Especially as we implement the dollars, that might be a good story to talk about with the public. Thank you.
Yes.
All right, our upcoming board letter columnists for this month, it is Laura. Next month it is myself. May we have Eric. June is John's letter, and July is Leanna. We are now at the legislative representative report. As the legislative rep this past month, or at the end of February, I attended myself and Dana and Morgan and Dan. We traveled to Olympia to attend the joint legislative conference put on by the Washington State School Directors Association, the Washington Association Superintendent Association, and then WASBO, which Business Officers Association. Got to hear some good speeches and some not so good. They have Governor Inslee is always supposed to make a speech. So they have the governor, they have OSPI Superintendent Chris Reichdahl come, and then they have the leads from both parties in both chambers, in the education committees speak. In the last few years, it's, leaned toward virtual. Chris Reichdahl did show up in person for his speech. The chairs and the minority chairs for both chambers presented with their legislative priorities, and that was interesting to see. And then Governor Inslee gave his 5-second speech to us, so that was interesting. And then the next day we got to advocate on behalf of our kids and meet with legislators and talk about the bills that are currently cycling through. I think we all had a great time, and it felt really productive for us, which we had heard from other districts that they did not feel that way in speaking with their legislators. But our legislators, we were able to pull Dan Griffey off the floor, and Travis Couture came as well, and we presented our case on special education and transportation and getting those fully funded, and they were fully in our court, and we got a chance to advocate for some other issues that are dear to our school district, like the transitional kindergarten bill and other issues. And it just was really, they asked for amendments that they could push forward to help our cause, which we were able to send them. And later we met with Drew McEwen's aide. He wasn't able to step off the floor, but it was still a productive meeting, and I think got them interested in some of the things we're interested about. So it was very informative, educational, and a good experience. There are still, we're winding down with the session now, thankfully, so doesn't feel quite so breakneck pace. While we were at conference, one of the bills that we were really afraid of died, so we were celebrating the
Prejudgment interest.
The prejudgment interest bill. That could have been a nightmare for districts if anybody tried to sue us and then try to claim years past interest for an event that happened in their childhood. That might have been a difficult thing. So that died. The recess bill, I think it's made its way through both and it's passed, but it's 30 minutes required recess for students.
That fits within our current.
And we, and that had kind of gotten watered down over time, but as the bill is now, it doesn't have much of an impact on us because we're already doing that. And Dana's doing a great job of just following all of the bills and keeping us updated on what we should be looking out for. So that is my report.
And I would like to add to that, we really do appreciate having a student who is as engaged in this process as we do this year, Morgan. It's really exciting to see how engaged you are and the success you're having in getting an opportunity to speak now and then. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Yes.
I enjoy it.
Yes, actually being able to, seeing your name on the thing, I'm like, oh, Morgan's testified on this. That's exciting. So thank you.
I know him.
I know. It is like that.
It's cool.
Fantastic. All right, we are now at our assurance of organizational performance and policy review portion of our evening here with our monitoring reports from our superintendent. We're going to review tonight ER9, communication with the public, and we've been provided with a monitoring report about our superintendent's, how she's complied with this executive requirement. I trust that we've all had a chance to look through Dana's report. I would entertain a motion in regards to this ER9.
Make a motion to approve ER9 monitoring report and find the superintendent in compliance.
Great. Any discussion? Let me look at this again. Yes, I hit the strategic plan. Thank you for adding those items in on item number 3. I know we're doing work on that, so I wanted to see that reflected in the report. And I think we are just getting better and better at the communication with the public, so I have enjoyed seeing that. All right, we have a motion. I will call for a vote from our student advisors.
Aye.
I vote aye.
And all in favor from our board, aye?
Aye.
Say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes that we find the superintendent's performance to comply with ER 9. ER 12 involves student conduct discipline in relation to the student handbook. Do I hear a motion to find the superintendent's performance to comply with ER 12?
Madam Chairman, I so move that we find the superintendent's performance to conform to ER 12.
Great, any discussion? Students, no?
Nope.
Okay. John, you have anything?
Oh, you mean, are we?
I'm just checking in with you, just making sure. Do you have any discussion?
Oh, no.
No,
On
okay.
ER 12, no.
All right, I will call for a vote from our student board members. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And
Aye.
all in favor for our regular board, aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
All right, perfect. So moved. All right, I guess we are at adjournment and good of the order. I'll start with you, Leanna, and then we can go to John. Anything for the good of the order?
Well, something in the community today. We have a gentleman that rides his bicycle on the North Shore. From the North Shore, his name is Tim. And I'm not like going into details about him, but he hangs out in town a lot and then rides his bike home. And today I noticed he was on the Old Belfair Highway, and on my way home he was on his way back on Highway 3. So he was doing the circle on his bike, and I was like, woohoo! You know, like I wanted to go over. He's a really shy person, so I didn't go and embarrass him or do anything, but it was just, that's some encouragement for our community to see somebody that, I don't know, it's neat, you know, I mean, and that's brave. Those roads, people are not as attentive as they were before, and it was just really dangerous, but I thought that was a cool thing from the community that I saw today. And I didn't really have anywhere else to kind of like shoot it out there, so I thought this was a good one. And then by next month, our meeting, I will be a mother of a teenager, so I'm all emotional and excited about it, but oh good. And he doesn't seem like a 13-year-old to me, but my goodness, 13. I know. You feel for me. I know you've got 2 small ones, but it's a big thing, so it's cool. That's it.
John, anything for the good of the order?
Well, I'm getting kind of hepped, and these meetings are just too good. We've had a string of meetings. And what I feel is that I've been exposed to some information that ought to be put in some apologetic form. I don't mean making an apology, but I mean explains the school. We're living in a time when there is a thick critique. Much of it, I mean, has reality to it some ways, but it's just easy to criticize the schools. If you start criticizing the schools, almost anybody will agree with it. The stuff that we've had this evening, the stuff that we had last meeting and several meetings back is so good. I wish we had, I don't know a better word, I wish we had a, I'm not going to say the word catechism. I'm not going to use that word. I wish we had an information sheet that was parallel to some of the usual objections. And I just wish that we could be better informed when it came to dealing with people who question the adequacy of our schools for the education of our kids. I think that thing that we saw this evening about the skeleton was just remarkable. I mean, just like a space odyssey for me. I mean, it's just so far from anything I've been familiar with. The thing about building the boat, you know, the engineering skills those kids must be getting. And the whole bit about, the maritime skills and all that kind of thing. I just think there are so many things that are going on. If we even had 5 heads, that we could name and say a few words about, I think we would all be better community representatives for our schools.
Thank you.
I guess that was prayer or something, but I wish that would happen, a wish list.
Well, John, Amanda and our PR people are doing a great job with the newsletter and creating those kinds of messages to make sure that we get those out through social media, our soon to be updated website, and some additional tools that we're bringing on board. But the monthly newsletter is become really a strong piece and a way to put those items in a place that they can be shared with our community, and that you can use those as a reminder of things that you want to be able to say to folks if you need to. So
I better
I'd
just
like to
collect a
remind you
bunch of them and I'll put them in a
Yeah.
little booklet and start sending them.
Yeah.
There you go.
A comment that sparked something is when we are getting really good at getting it out there and making all of these things that we get to use. But I know that feeling when you see something that somebody puts something tough out about the school and they're calling somebody out and you're like, wait a minute, that's not fair. You want to blow horn just to like, no, it's like this, and you want to be the top one heard with this positive information. So I think that's kind of along the line of what he's saying. But I think we are doing a great job at and getting better and better. And I think that'll be continuous growth. I don't think we'll ever make everybody happy. So
Yeah,
No.
okay, with I grant that the website is really spectacular. I looked there today and all the pictures of those graduates, and I think it's very informative and it's accessible for everything. I do think we need to, even as we prepare for meetings, and Arla, I want to commend you and your team and everyone for your political involvement. This really sounds like just a banner year for us in that regard. We meet the community one-on-one also, and I think we have to be, you ask things off the cuff and, I wish I could remember there was a meeting on that. So I guess I'm just talking about, maybe I'm talking to myself, I need to develop a personal discipline of reading those things and maybe organizing them according to the questions I'm asked or some of the hostile questions that I hear.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, John, for those comments. I don't have anything for the good of the order beyond what I shared at the legislative report. So I will pass it on to Eric.
So I'm excited that it's spring, it's getting warmer, and it was really cool to see. I know I was down, saw the girls softball starting to practice down there. I know they had one game this week, right?
Yeah.
And then the baseball had a game tonight, so I'm super excited to see the kids back out on the diamond.
Yes, that's very cool.
that's cool. Warmth. Yeah.
Dana, anything for the good of the order?
I don't think so, no. I would say you noted that we have the Apogee contract on our board agenda, and Apogee is going, as a contract, is going to be an opportunity for us to organize all of our public-facing media so that it is coordinated and organized and timely and quick and out there, and makes Amanda's job so much easier than it currently is to make sure that everybody knows everything that we can share with them. So we're really excited about that partnership. And so you will see the transition through the end of the year as we change the look of our website, as Apogee takes over managing that with us. You will see a new app that replaces the old one that we did several years ago that is much more timely and reactive to what's going on, and provides a lot more current information to families as they need it. And then related to that will be the ability to have related tweets and Instagram posts and Facebook posts that are all integrated through the management that we do with that system. So we're really excited about how much more information that will provide to our community.
And Apogee, like, I think I remember this, specifically works with school districts.
Yes,
Yeah.
they are a school district
Yeah.
company, and they work to help you have all of those pieces of your public-facing media interact, and to make it easier for your staff to update posts and other, whatever you call it, to the different media, but make sure that it's accurate, updated, and what you need to say, and it gets out when you need to get it out. So
Yeah.
we're really
That's
excited.
Great idea.
That's very great. Okay, board self-assessment, I'm gonna do this, at this meeting here today, since Laura is not here, and it would have been her turn. But I rate our general meeting behavior as satisfactory throughout. I'll just pick a few of them to name. Our agenda felt very well planned and focused on our work. Our deliberations and decision-making processes were public, clearly. I think all members listened attentively and avoided side conversations, and we treated each other with respect and courtesy. Regarding our governance principles review, yes, they were followed. Board actions occurred at the policy level rather than at the operational level. We reviewed policy about each topic before discussing that issue. In writing additional policies, we start with a broad statement that becomes more detailed in a logical and disciplined sequence. We minimize time spent monitoring past performance. We clarify our priorities and values. The board chair helps the board efficiently conduct its meeting. I hope so. The board spends most of its time deliberating issues, clarifying our vision, linking with the community as opposed to fixing things. And the board supports the superintendent in any reasonable interpretation of the policies. So I do rate all of those as, yes, they were followed, and I overall rate us as satisfactory for this meeting. And with that, our next school board meeting will be here, April 20th at 6:30. And I call this meeting adjourned at 7:52.
Very good.